In 1888, a Dutch painter takes a train from Paris to the south coast of France. But before he reaches the coast, he will step off the train, for the land outside his window has derailed his plans and ignited his imagination. One day the paintings he makes here will sell for millions, but for now he disembarks unknown and penniless. His name, Vincent van Gogh. After years in Paris, Van Gogh left to refresh his spirits. He'd always heard about the magical land of Provence, an ancient region in the south. He decided to see it for himself. Before that train ride, Van Gogh painted gloomy scenes of hardship and sadness. His work had gained no acclaim in his native Holland or in Paris. But in Provence, the sun's play of light, shadow, and color would fill his canvas and change the way he saw things. Van Gogh's train ride to Provence began a new chapter in his life's work. It would also be his last. And through his eyes, he in turn would transform Provence forever. Vincent stepped off the train at Arles, where he found an ancient town on the banks of the Rhone River. Its angular houses and streets seemed custom-made for his artist's eye. Here, I see new things. I am learning. Arles dates back more than 2,000 years. Like Vincent, Roman settlers came to make a home on the empire's frontier. Some of their ruins still come to life with a primal ritual. Since the 1st century AD, the bullfighters of Provence have entered the arena to face the great black bull. The contest between man and beast enthralls audiences to this day. Whether Vincent ever witnessed this spectacle remains a mystery. We only know he regarded the arena as something from another world. Crowds of visitors thrill to the bullfight. But the main goal of many is the solitary path of Vincent van Gogh. And the city that once held the eccentric painter at arm's length now honors him at every turn. The 900-year-old church harbors figures from local legends. But it is the presence of a Dutchman that one feels most deeply. Sights that he painted, like the poplar-lined avenue called les Alechons, are the town's most famous landmarks. In the lively bustle that is now Arles, it is the burning vision of a lonely traveller that people flock to see. Oh, how gorgeous sunlight gets to one's head here in the summer. It can drive a man a bit crazy. Vincent found an entire new world in the southern air. Some of his favorite subjects were the local farmers and their families. As he watched them pursue daily life, he saw in their faces a survivor's kind of joy. He wrote to his brother Theo. They have features quite as fine as those of Gogh or Velasquez. But the people of Arles found Van Gogh peculiar. He came and went at all hours, often alone, and often drunk. Vincent, though, was too excited by Provence to notice its people's reservations. Every day he set out with his easel, finding new subjects to paint. He felt immediately invigorated and filled canvas after canvas. He found his subjects in the streets of Arles and on its byways. He wanted to take painting outside to where people met and worked, on roads, bridges, and millworks. This led him inevitably to the fields out of town. A century later, the farmland of Provence remains almost unchanged. For Vincent, the harvest meant simplicity and a life in tune with the seasons. Working steadily beside the farmers, the painter himself reaped the fruits of his talent. It is much too beautiful for me. I am struggling to capture the spirit of it. Van Gogh found a special peace in the olive groves. Ever since the ancients brought them from Greece, olives have been a primary source of the region's wealth. Each year, farmers harvest many tons for export and for their own needs. For them, the olive offers more than food. In time-honored fashion, they use it to bless their children and to anoint priests.
Maddy est arrivé troisième.
The rich bounty is always a reason to celebrate. At harvest festivals, Provençals around the region gather to affirm their traditions and enjoy. Vincent relished the happiness he saw at local festivals like this one. And in the merriment flowed spirits. In Van Gogh's day, a favorite was absinthe, a potent green liquor. These days it has been replaced by a milder version made from aniseed. Drink is what often drew Vincent into the festivities, until he would lose his self-control. After dark, this other side of Arles springs to life. It always has. The feasting and revelry starts after the bullfight and stretches late into the night. At the center of town stands a cafe, immortalized in one of Vincent van Gogh's most haunting scenes. By lamplight, as well as daylight, Vincent relentlessly worked to catch the life of Arles. Three months after coming to Arles, Vincent made another journey to the sea. He traveled 30 miles to Sainte-Maurice-de-la-Mer, a small fishing village. According to gypsy legend, the town's name honors two saints named Mary. They came from the sea, bringing Christianity from the Holy Land to the shores of France. Sainte-Maurice stands where two branches of the Rhône form a delta. This delta is the Camargue, a vast home to many kinds of fish, flamingos, and the wild Camargue bulls. Declared a nature park in 1970, the Camargue still holds the primeval character that Vincent loved. But it was the life of the sea that captivated him. It is the color of mackerel, which means it changes every second. You never know whether it's green or violet or blue. He wanted to paint the fishermen at work, but they launched their boats before sunrise. Finally, on his last morning there, he captured the scene in a few quick sketches. Back in Arles, he transformed these into his classic homage to the fishing life. Sainte-Marie's fishermen still leave before the sun and bring back the most important ingredients of Provençal cooking. Here, rich food is found not only in restaurants. A delicious paella with shellfish, turbot and vegetables can appear right in the street. Inside the finer restaurants, chefs add their own flourish of herbs and a splash of wine from a local vineyard. It's not just a meal, but a vital expression of who they are. Vincent savoured these flavours only in his mind. His paintings did not sell, and his money ran out. He could barely afford to buy paints, much less fine meals. Still, he kept painting. He spent long hours outdoors, capturing the sun and the constant wind, called Mistral. The gusts, up to 60 miles an hour, often threatened to sweep away the painter's canvas. But I fasten my easel on a stick, which I put in the ground, so I can paint yet. A more dangerous wind raged inside Vincent's head. More and more he grew confused and uneasy. It erupted in his paintings in thick, swirling brushstrokes. With this new way of seeing, Vincent forged his most powerful work, a storm of light and colour. In 1889, Vincent sought shelter from his torments in a mental hospital in nearby Saint-Rémy. For nearly a year he walked in its hallways. He painted its garden and his fellow patients. During this time, moments of tranquility alternated with a terrible rage. The battle Van Gogh wages with his mind results in some of the most brilliant paintings of the Impressionist era. The Wheat Field with Crows has been interpreted as a reflection of Vincent's mental state. But he wrote no more letters in those days. And so the truth will forever be hidden in the beauty of Provence in all its seasons. 100 years after Van Gogh's death, life in Provence goes on. Yet in many ways it has changed. But the light and the life that captivated the artist remain the same. the genius of Vincent van Gogh, through his lonely journey 100 years ago, captured for posterity the brilliant colors and the fragrant air of a frontier called Provence.